Welcome. Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Paul, Brian's Logic, Arwin, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, good afternoon. I feel from some of the comments and indeed my own panel's remarks that we may have been expected to be overly harsh with Eddie Bravo yesterday. And surprising to not necessarily all of us, he was a real success in his postulations about the flat earth when put in a position to have to speculate about things like ice walls. But ultimately, he rounded out that particular clip from that particular videographer with a stone cold earth is measured flat proof from a hostile source that would appeal to the consensus desire of his opponent, let's just say. So kudos, props. I don't know if we gave enough props on the day. I think we may have expected it to be a worse showing than it actually was. So I don't know if, John, you want to make comments.
No, I agree, even though I'm not John, but I agree. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but he did a very decent job, like unlike some other people that we've reviewed here.
That was exactly the sentiment. I mean, go ahead, John.
I was going to say he wasn't exactly put in the best situation with the preface to the questions he was asked, but I thought he did fairly well for what he had to work with, you know.
In a way, my main criticism when he got into ice walls, regardless of him being put in a position to argue from that stance based on 15-minute city examples that is, I don't want to call him opponent, but the guy opposite him was speculating about. He went to the same place that David Weiss did about Kobayashi maps and territories beyond the ice wall. And from that point of view, I could only be as critical as I was of Dave in that regard, when there are specific examples that we have for the new worlds where old maps didn't have them, now they do. And they've got people on them now, and that wasn't as a result of people having to breach any ice wall that might have been on a map at the time where people were told you can't go beyond this point. Now that's how it is now, but it doesn't mean that in our recent history we didn't find places that were defined as being in outer space. That's the area beyond the horizon, space being the area that we occupy, outer space being the unknown. And then in outer space, they find, quote, new worlds that are then documented exactly as that on the maps. So that, as an example, leaves you with far less speculation. But there we go. That's just one minor critique in a very nuanced discussion. So, you have to fly with what you've got, and he did well. So, props to Eddie Bravo. Thank you to Godzilla37. for smashing the super chat, which gives me money and says Merry Christmas. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate the support. Did you do a bit of housekeeping? This might be the last live show before Christmas, right? Christmas is on Monday. I'd be very surprised if my wife would allow me or tolerate me doing a show on Christmas Day. So there's a good chance that this is the last actual live show before Christmas. There is a Ball Busters tomorrow, so you will get to hear some of our dulcet tones on that. But as far as this particular channel, Nathan Oakley 1980 is concerned, this is our Christmas show, I suppose. So there you go. Let's do some housekeeping. The reason I said that is because we might do all of the housekeeping questions because of that.
Yep.
quick question.
I'll be doing early bird shows, by the way, during Christmas all day. So you can always come to my channel.
If you're in need of some chat fulfillment, Arwin show's very chat orientated, then yeah, go over to Arwin, ARWIJN, over the Christmas period, or the Christmas weekend at least. I'm sure I'll be back to it pretty soon after Christmas. Quick question, numpty moment of the year, thanks. Numpty moment of the year? Don't know. I want to answer you, Sensual Goat. Thank you for the super chat. But by the same token, all of our numpty moments will be directed at things that aren't just proving Earth's measured flat. Because they're going to be errors and contradictions, aren't they? And moving forward, I want to, you know, mark the end of 2023 by saying we have a very clear path into 2024. And that path is such that we start with evidence of Earth being functionally flat, as opposed to how we got to the point where we were on a sphere and how that sphere is wrong, which is where flat earthers have, in my opinion, gone wrong up until now. So I don't know, though. We'll entertain it. Does anybody have a particularly favourite moment of stupidity throughout the year?
Well, it's so hard, you know, because it's like it's not these types of moments they're not really isolated anymore. It's more like what's like the numpty moment that has echoed forth from everybody that's so typical right now. I'd say that would be confessional debating. It's like the latest thing they're all doing now. Would you say?
We need something to do with the equivalence principle, perhaps. Maybe if there was a formula like E equals MC squared that we could compare it to.
Or maybe the wave is the medium. I thought that was pretty.
Okay, yeah. The high. All that I went through in my mind when you asked that question, Central Goat, was ether nonsense, because it's the height of con artistry and doublespeak and fast talking, and there's 1,000,001 moments to choose from. Speaking of which, on yesterday's show, which was a very long show, we ended up doing about 5 hours. We were going through or reacting to Whitsit's discussion with a whole bunch of ballers, allegedly, that were very willing to entertain his ideas. We got to the bottom of why that might be. And then we pulled apart some of his rhetoric, but as we did so, I was scribbling down some of the descriptions and convoluted nonsense that was coming out of Whitsit, with it often being repeated by QE. Now, he carried on that sentiment on his own show, so if you want to check out this in a more detailed manner without loads of interruptions and Japes and Brian and Adam being told to shut up constantly by QE, then check out QE's version, because that's a lot, I don't want to say cleaner, but it's it's QE doing his thing with Whitsit's nonsense. So that, you know, the general Ethereum nonsense has been so prevalent throughout 2023, it kind of makes me a bit sick, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but the ballers were like enabling him. It's like,
yeah, that's the conclusion we came to.
That's
Feel free,
so
Arwin.
crazy.
Yes, that's
Like-
true. That's what we came to as a conclusion. You know, they're just letting him hang himself. Go ahead.
they were just so it's so
just say-
surreal.
Sorry, David.
They're supposed to be opponents, right? But like, oh no, on the ether, they all love it. So apparently, ballers don't have any objections to ether ideas at all. They love it.
Sensual Goat just gifted 5 memberships out. Says Merry Christmas. Thank you, Sensual Goat.
Nathan,
Go ahead, Quandek.
seems we're getting like, we're looking at the years and maybe not at the moment, but and I think with what your view is on things lately, and myself, and I think we're all heading that way, and I think it sort of fits in a little bit, maybe in the after show, but I can't do anything now. I would like to read out my very first poem, which
If you do, you'll have to find somewhere with a bit
the
of signal.
globe is
'cause you're
flat. It was
breaking-
measured
you're
like
breaking up
that,
a bit.
which I think fits in with what we're sort of saying. And then just finish off maybe with my latest poem, which also, that's why I can't. And the guests are okay with that. That would be sort of a little bit fitting, I think.
Definitely. If you want to give us a rendition of your first and last poem whenever you're in a better signal area, because at the moment you're breaking up, and it would be a damn shame to have them interfered with. So I don't know if you can pick up a better signal from somewhere. I don't know what you're doing, but if that can be facilitated, then definitely. If not, then maybe wait, because I like to have your poems completely unimpeded and with at least reasonable quality. Whereas if you're breaking up, there's a good chance that we'll miss various parts of the poem, which kind of ruins it. Speaking of poems, did you hear mine? Oh, we lost one deck. It would appear so. Right, we're going to do some housekeeping unless someone's going to tail off that conversation with one deck. Really not. Okay, let's do some housekeeping. Any evidence? Beautiful. It's good.
Yes, I
Go ahead, one deck.
read it. And
Yeah,
listen to it.
You're breaking up too badly, one deck. If you can hear me, it sounds like your bitrate's so low that you probably can't hear me trying to interrupt you to tell you that you're breaking up. But there we go.
You're getting Neil's disease.
One more time, Arwin.
He's got Neil's disease.
Yeah, it's just a signal. Anyway, right, let's do some housekeeping. I'm going to insist, right? We're going to plod our way through relatively quickly. I'm talking to you, Arwin. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth? Please share the show if you haven't done so already.
Yes, the boat was on land.
A boat in a shipyard that's trying to blag a physical geometric sphere edge obstruction that a flat earther has said should be obstructing it but isn't, but in fact it's on a boatyard elevated position, doesn't prove that the horizon used to establish horizontal planes of reference, that's a flat earth, is earth curve because a boat is above where it was claimed to not be not blocking stuff by a flat earther.
Yeah, but it doesn't disprove it either.
Yeah, I'm asking for evidence of physical geometric sphere edge horizons, formerly known as Earth curve horizons, when Earth curve horizons aren't possible because the horizon is used to establish horizontal planes of reference. That's a flat Earth. Boats and how high they are with respect to what? Sea level? You're going to tell me how high the boat was with respect to a flat plane? This is useless. Let's move on. Any evidence of axial rotation?
Glenn Williamson refers to the horizon a lot.
I hear Brian's dulcet tones. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, Glenn Williamson refers to the refers to the horizon a lot, and he's a baller. So it must be geometric.
How's that geometric horizon working out for you there, Rufy? Good? Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, that's a funny one because their evidence is the Coriolis effect. That's their only actual evidence. But we don't experience that involving Earth. So no.
You and your reference frames have been ruined, end quote, Simon Dan. That's right. No reference frames to reference. No drift to observe. Earth isn't turning. There is no evidence of such. We don't have to prove the non-existence of a claim of rotation that hasn't been backed. Earth isn't moving. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
None whatsoever. People keep thinking of it, though, thinking that they do or they somehow did establish a distance somehow. They just keep thinking they do every time.
Well, I can tell you how they got it, and you can tell me if it's actually evidence. You want to know?
I do, but I know it's going to require a flat plane. So you go ahead, Brian, just as long as you reiterate that the flat plane's required and say it twice when you get there.
Yeah. Well, first they had to measure the latitude and longitude grade out, which required the Earth to be flat because they used flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris. And that means that they had to use right-angled triangles and reference the surface of Earth. And that means that the surface of Earth has to be a horizontal plane. Means sea level has to be a horizontal plane for them to be able to do that. Then those measurements were back engineered into a globe Earth, but via the meeting of all the south ends of the longitude lines. Then once they took this mathematical globe Earth, they then pre-assumed that Venus was of an equal size globe Earth. Right, maybe not an Earth, but an equal sized sphere in space. Then they used the angular size of the sun and the angular size of Venus in its transit across the sun to determine how far away the sun was. And how they determined this was via the angular sizes after pre-assuming they were on a globe of radius 3959 miles, and that Venus was a sphere of similar size. Then due to its angular size and the angular size of the sun as it transits it, then that must mean that the sun is X size because of the size of Venus, its angular size. And how they know the distance to Venus is because they know the distance to the sun. And how they know the distance to the sun is because they know the distance to Venus.
Perfect. You're going to need a flat
How did
plane
they
for
do-
that. So in terms of the development, you explained quite beautifully. Just to develop the grid in the first instance, you're utilizing a flat plane to develop it. And after developing a grid, you're then taking an inference of a sphere with a radius value to superimpose onto Venus, but from the flat plane measurements and grid system that was developed from flat plane measurements of the stars. So then once you've taken your flat plane measurements of the stars, taken it onto a grid, and then superimpose that grid onto a spherical surface to infer that you're in an orbital motion with Keplerian mechanics, to then take Huygens' assumption that that inference of a flat plane measurement giving you a spherical R value has the same spherical R value as the Venus light in the sky that you were measuring off a flat plane to give you the grid. Wonderful. That's lots of flat earths that are required for that. Again, please share the show if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, and in the transit description, they need to know the distance between the sun and Mercury in that transit to give them the ratio to say, if Venus is this size, then the sun is this size, and with respect to it, then this must be this big, and that must be this big. They used angle measurements from left to right. I can't remember what that's called.
Parallax? That would be a flat plane.
No,
it's not
not
parallax.
parallax.
No,
It's
no.
Transit?
It's like
well, it's
ascension
not.
or something. It's got a particular name. I know what you're driving at.
Yeah, but that's with respect to a flat plane as well. So their description of transit requires Earth to be flat as well.
They're describing
Yeah, but
the elevations when they describe the transit with respect to a horizon. Therefore, it's an angular description. Is that what you're driving at?
Yeah, but they have a certain name for it, and I'm completely blanking on it.
You said
I'll
it.
have to
The
go
other,
look
you
it
said
up.
it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I know it might have been Brian.
well, the main thing is that they just used angular sizes based off of a pre-assumption of what we were standing on, and the angular size of one of these lights in the sky being the same size as the pre-assumption of what we were standing on. So that's what they're using. Angular sizes is how they determined. But regardless of any other nonsense they tried to say they did. All they did was use angular sizes. I could do the exact same thing, and they couldn't debunk it. Literally,
I agree, but I think what John's driving at is you don't necessarily need to reference your flat plane to give you angular size differentials, which is where you get to with Kepler. That's the end of the road for Keplerian assumptions. In other words, you can slide the scale any way you like with Kepler's observations of the motions that he puts around a sphere derived from the flat plane that you so eloquently described. Catch my breath. But beyond that, you've got to have Huygens. You've got to give something to that scale, haven't you?
Well, basically, it's just a pre-assumption that you're on a sphere of a particular size, and that this other light is a sphere of equal size or very close to equal size, and that the sun is also a sphere, and just use the angular sizes to determine the distance to the small light, and then use the angular size in relation to the angular size of the sun to determine the distance between that, and then determine the distance between you and the sun. That's all it is. It's
Exactly.
actually that is all it is.
That's the point I'm making. That's the key. That's the cornerstone, if you will. You've got all the bricks laid out by Kepler, but until you've got Huygens' cornerstone of Venus being the same size as Earth, you've got nothing to give you distance to the sun.
But what's worse again is that within the paradigm that they're using this in, angular sizes don't exist.
Yes, indeed. Right, let's move on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
What'd you say, Nathan?
I said, any scientific evidence of gravity? Feel free to join in, by the way, Discord server. Hope you can all hear us loud and clear.
No, there isn't. There's well, there is. You can put specific gravity through the scientific method. It's because its correct name is the correct name for a specific gravity. If anyone wants to Google it, is actually relative density. So, for what they call specific gravity, you could definitely scientifically prove that. But
Well, I
all the
want
rest
someone
of
to.
the other four.
So
You
it
couldn't.
has been. If you recontextualize Anthony Riley's egg experiment, then it's already been done. But he just didn't qualify it, did he? He didn't say, "I'm validating specific gravity, also known as relative density, by way of this adding of a mass to a medium, making the density increase and displacing the egg in a given vector, decreasing it, giving it the opposite vector." Well, that experiment validated a hypothesis and disproved a null, therefore is scientific validity of that supposition. He just didn't contextualize it as specific gravity, did he?
No, he didn't. No, because he wanted to stay away from the word gravity. But that's basically what he did. He proved gravity scientifically,
Which is a shame.
but only specific gravity.
I blame Arwin.
It is.
Do you want to know? I'm being sincere as well when I say I blame Arwin. So at the time, when it wasn't at the time, it was about 12 months later, but about 12 months prior, Arwin and Sleeping Warrior, that's Anthony Riley, were at each other's throats, with Arwin postulating downward biases and Anthony objecting. But at the time, they weren't at the point of relative density disequilibrium as a nice, concise sentence that I can give you now. But the way we got there was through Arwin and Sleeping Warrior thrashing it out for quite some time. It's about a year, a good solid year. So by the time they got to that point, they being Arwin and Sleeping Warrior, Anthony did not want the notion of the heliocentric gravity to tarnish what he was doing. So he, as you put, or you didn't put, but I'm going to, he shied away from it. And that was as a consequence, I feel, of Arwin's positive assertion in regards to wanting it to be labelled gravity. Now, little did either of them know that in terms of specific gravity, it was. Neither of them knew that, and I'm content to say that I listened closely to those discussions for a solid year. But yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, Brian? Because if he had, we'd be taking ownership of that now, wouldn't we? Someone will do it.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Anthony should just take ownership of it because he did prove it. Because it's correct, as I said, you can Google this. Its correct term is not specific gravity. The correct term for it is actually relative density. I know we can add in the disequilibrium or equilibrium or whatever words you want to add in with it, but basically relative density. That's what it is, and that's what he proved. So it is a pity, but I understand at the time he was trying to stay away from anything ball related because all they wanted to stick on at the time was how he proved gravity. But now it would be something that they would hate.
That was a mark in the journey, that like a really important point in the journey. Like I say, ushered in from the discussions had by Arwin and Sleeping Warrior. But that it culminated in a discussion between Dr. John Dee, and he's come up recently because people don't know who he is. It's like a really important person in our group. Shout out to you, John Dee, if you're listening. It's like Betty. I've gone through this on a couple of shows, so I'm not going to reiterate it again here. But Dr. John Dee, Adam, Quantum Eraser, myself, Sleeping Warrior, Arwin would also be involved in the conversation. But for about 2 or 3 days, they were trying to thrash out what is the primary instigator for this effect. That is to say, why do we have relative density disequilibrium? I.e., why does this process begin? And I'm phrasing it such that it'll make sense when we get to the conclusion, which is to say that it is actually a second order effect of entropic law. In other words, the reason things will return to an equalized state in a various medium, they'll reach their own consistency with that medium, regardless of if it's solid, in liquid, or whatever, is because of the way entropy is described to work as a law of nature, as something that occurs always. In other words, the starting process of this description is entropy. Well, when you get to that conclusion, you can only then rewind back what is entropy and where does that begin to try and answer the question in terms of why do we have this effect of some things go up, some things go down, some things remain neutral. Well, the reason is entropy, and the reason of entropy is the creation. Where does entropy begin if you rewind the clock? Well, then you rewind the clock in a heliocentric world to the Big Bang. Alternatively, you rewind the clock to the creation. Now, I only give you those two options because there is only two options. So then you're faced with, as a direct result of gravity, in this case specific gravity, a question of whether or not God exists, because it leaves you at the ontological primitives when you rewind the clock of entropy, and relative density is simply, or relative density disequilibrium, is simply a second order effect of entropy. Now, I didn't come up with any of that. That was all, as I say, as a result of 12 months discussion between Arwen and Sleeping Warrior, and then a solid, maybe week, it probably was a bit less than that, with the best minds amongst our group, thrashing out the ideas of what this could actually be. And that's the result of it, that conclusion. A very inspirational time on Flat Earth debate, I might add. There's been lots of inspirational times with black swans and elevation angle argument, and at the moment pushing the measurements of a flat Earth or how Earth is functionally flat. These are hopefully going to be markers in our flat Earth career, if you can call it that we will all remember. And Arwen and Sleeping Warrior were most definitely the genesis of that particular discussion. So the overall understanding would not be the way it was had it not been for Arwen and Sleeping Warrior's tenacity to debate about that subject.
Yeah, but the only thing I'd add to it is that when you were talking about entropy and when you brought up the Big Bang or a creator, well, it can't be the Big Bang because matter and energy had to already exist prior to that, within that paradigm.
Well, they've explained that mathematically. Let me just preface that. So their explanation of this, mathematically, for that, to get around that, to mitigate for it, is to say that you divide by 0 and get everything in the known existence of the universe. That's their mathematical explanation for that. Divide by 0, get everything that you can possibly know. Hey, Sleeping Warriors in the chat. Hey, Anthony, good to have you.
Also, I looked up that word. It's perihelion and aphelion. I think I'm saying that wrong. I'm sure.
Perihelion and what was the other one?
I think I can't say it. I'm too country.
Yes, indeed. The broken up version of it from one deck was just perfect.
Right, but that's how you determine its transit to give you the scales, which are done with respect to a flat plane.
Okay, so that word that none of us are going to attempt to repeat and pronounce incorrectly is the respect to a flat plane measurement of the transit angle measurement that would require a flat plane, correct? What's the word again?
Perihelion and that word. Apelion. I can't say it. My tongue won't let me.
Sorry, I'm doing Christmas turkey. What's the word? Administration with my wife in the background. Sorry for that slight pause. We're like, what's the turkey looking like? What's it stuffed with? Sorry. It's coming up for Christmas if you're watching this after the fact.
It's perihelion and aphelion.
Perihelion and aphelion. Man, they sound like Greek gods. They sound like Greek gods.
They are Greek. Well, it's Greek. It's Greek as far as I know. But that involves the pre-assumption of an orbit.
Yeah, no. This is after, we're after Kepler.
It's the furthest and closest. Like the perihelion, I think perihelion is the furthest, and aphelion is the closest. It's like the perihelion of the globe out around the sun is on the start of July, and the aphelion is the start of January. So it's like that's 20 in their paradigm. In July, on a globe out, we're furthest from the sun, and in January, we're closest to the sun.
Sure, but
No,
the
orbits are
perihelion
always with
measurement in
respect.
this respect comes after Kepler. It's within the Keplerian mathematical extrapolations that you then need to apply something to give you scale. In other words, you're only going to be taking these transit measurements for the transit of Venus. That's why it's applied within Kepler. So you're absolutely right when you say, well, you're already working within the orbital mechanics assumption. Well, yeah, because we're working within Kepler to derive these transit angle measurements. That's the only way I can summarize what John's telling us.
Right, but the orbital mechanics themselves require you to measure Earth flat to get the calculations. So
yeah,
like,
Brian went right at the beginning of Brian's explanation for it. He went through that perfectly. Indeed, the genesis. I love that word for this, by the way, John. The genesis of all of these globe Earth extrapolations, including orbital motion and the derivation of a Venus with a twin value to Earth in its radial value derived from a flat plane. It's always going to be a flat plane. They need a flat plane to develop the globe, to then reference it back to a flat plane with a measurement of an angle off a flat plane. There's so many flat planes involved. But the genesis is a flat plane for the globe itself. And Brian did point that out at the beginning of his very, very good explanation of this process. Right, should we move on? Was that gravity question? I forget what that was. Was that scientific evidence of gravity that I just asked? I've forgotten now.
Yeah. Yes.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Those fields of study don't utilize the scientific method, therefore they're not natural science.
That's stated correctly? It's been a while since there was I'm sure there was a caveat in there, or there should be.
Well,
They study natural phenomenon. Sorry, go on, John.
Hold on. You let John summarize it because it was him that got it into this discussion.
Oh, if you wanted to postulate a natural phenomenon and you believed you lived on a globe, you would always have to do it with respect to a flat plane.
My panel is so freaking ace. Go on, Brian.
Yeah, they do study natural phenomenon. It's just that they are not in a position to manipulate any independent variables because they can't manipulate the area where they study these natural phenomena. They have no influence over the sky. So they're halfway towards being able to do a scientific experiment.
Good enough.
They have
Yes, that's enough of the disclaimer. Yeah. But do you want to repeat the first statement now, notwithstanding the disclaimer, John, just so it's reiterated as the main point in terms of the lack of phenomena?
Oh, yeah. If they wanted to postulate any phenomenon and describe it, they will do it with respect to a flat plane.
So you do actually include that. I was wrong to call you on that then. You do actually have the caveat incorporated into that then, don't you?
Yeah.
My bad. It's not as sharp as I feel, maybe. Maybe I'm hungry. 75 people watching. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Really appreciate all of you who've smashed that share button thus far. Probably the only reason we've got 75 people watching, if I'm perfectly honest. But if you've smashed one of those links that someone else has shared, thank you for joining us. Please do so also. Do so also? Yeah, do so also. Smash that share button. Let's see if we can get it to 100 people before the end of the live show. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth? Molten iron core? Juicy and delicious. Anybody?
If I was a baller, I probably wouldn't go to P waves and S waves anymore since that requires a plane of reference to measure it.
As it's Christmas, should we have the story of Thea? Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just answering the question that no, there isn't any evidence, scientific or otherwise.
We're gonna get. Should I give the Thea rendition, or should we move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a bit much in the middle of housekeeping, though, isn't it?
Or don't bother. Go on to the next question.
I'll go on to the next question. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
It really comes down to that, doesn't it?
We've covered it. That's why there's a stony... I don't mind this kind of stony silence, because Brian has covered it so eloquently in his descriptions of orbital mechanics, Kepler and Huygens, that we already know that you need a flat plane for this.
Sorry, lad.
Go on,
He's
Brian.
reliant on me still, isn't it?
Say again.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was on mute. Sorry.
Someone tickling you?
No, I was talking to my friend and I've forgotten to put the put.
You seem to be stuttering quite a lot. Is somebody interfering with you sexually right now, Brian?
No. I was saying to my friend, not worry.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do nothing but worry about it from this point forth. I've got to be honest. But there we go. You pop yourself on mute, son. Knock yourself out. Have fun. It's all perfectly natural. So I'm making myself laugh. Let's just get contained.
The two ways of calculating the radius of Earth requires you measure it as a flat plane.
They did have a story about like the Greeks, how they measured it.
Oh, can you tell us
You
about
can
that?
hear me all right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, well, I'll put it into a little poem. This was the first poem I wrote ever regarding the shape of the Earth. So I'll read it to you. And it encompasses this very thing we're talking about. Called The Globe is Flat. The globe is flat. It was measured like that. The globe is flat. The Greeks all knew that. They measured angles using sticks and shadows. The globe must be flat for horizontal shadows. Al-Biruni knew the globe was flat. He measured the height of a mountain like that. And when I was a sailor navigating the sea, the surface of the ocean appeared very flat to me. Triangulation on the surface of Earth, all achievable without one single use of a curve.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Maybe towards the
My
end
pleasure.
of the show, we'll get the last one you've written, because it's a new one, right? We haven't heard it yet.
Well, I did briefly, I did read it the other day for you, but I wrote one for a while. But I just felt it'd be nice to read these two poems because the globe is flat. It's just, it was written a while ago, but that's exactly what we're talking about now. It is measured flat. There is no globe.
Yeah,
We're using horizontal baselines.
Well, you've
using
understood
mean
this.
sea level.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry, mate. Go on.
From the off, you've understood this implicitly to the point where you can put it together into poetry. So the fact that you're so, at the moment, I'm singing your praises quite a lot, as you can probably tell, because you're so dogged in your determination to make that point absolutely clear when you interrupt people. So Paul was talking about his friend who's also a flatty, and you're desperate to interrupt. And Paul even said after the fact, he's like, did he get that, we understood all of that? And he's like, yeah, but he just one deck just wants to make the audience aware that it's measured flat, and at every opportunity he's got to point that out and get you back to that point, he's doing it. And it's like, I want to praise that, regardless of it probably was quite irritating for Paul while you were doing it. But it doesn't, no offense, Paul, it doesn't matter, because that's the sentiment I want driving forward into 2024. No, let's get back to it being measured flat. Oh, you'll need a flat Earth for that. Oh, that's definitely going to require a horizontal plane of reference that you're going to be using, etc., etc., etc. And you're doing it. So, do you want to give us your other poem? Hopefully your line will stay clear enough for us to get it nice.
Yeah. This one is called, again, it's just referencing what we're talking about and what we observe, which is a horizontal horizon, which people are trying to tell us is the actual evidence of a curve. But when it's self-evident that when you look out at the horizon and sea level, everything's horizontal and level. I wrote a short poem and it's called Horizontal Horizon. Horizontal horizon, exposing the mean sea level, a nail in the coffin for the curved sea devil. Horizontal horizon, leveling up the sea. No curves in sight for me and thee. Drop over distance, none from left to right. Horizontal horizon, straight and level, right? Horizontal horizon, she tells no lies. Just look at how mean sea level horizontally meets the sky. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. Nice and clear too. 90 people watching now. Edging ever closer to 191. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Big shout out to One Deck for his poetry. Really appreciate it. Also in the pre-show, I did a rendition of the robotized poetry that I developed after yesterday's extended after show. It was like 5 hours long. So while Witsit was going through his Ethereum nonsense, I was scribbling down some of the terms and slapping them together. So you can hear that in a rough form, although I've added to it, and I might go through it if we have time. We'll see. Meanwhile, any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Although this has never been demonstrated, and we can demonstrate that a container is required for gas pressure, because that's what pressure is. It's gas pressing on the walls of a sealed container. And this can be demonstrated over and over again.
Yeah, if there's a space, gas will attempt to fill it.
Gas fills space.
Yeah.
The sky vacuum is fake. Outer space is not real.
Yeah, I shouldn't use the word attempt. It will fill it. Gas will fill it.
The law of nature, we discussed it earlier with respect to gravity. Second law of thermodynamics, otherwise known as entropy. The law of nature. Gas fills space. Go on, One Deck.
I'm just saying, and they claim we've got an atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, which would first of all require a sphere-shaped container, but most importantly, it would require a sphere, Earth, which we haven't got. We know this because it's measured, observed, and navigated over a flat, horizontal, level plane.
Speaking of which, this is the last time this question will get asked live in 2023, and this is the year of the elevation angle. 2022 year of the sextant. You can go back through the various different years that we've had. Hopefully going into 2024, it's the year of the flat earth measurement. But in light of the year of the elevation angle, we aren't with our illustrious navigation expert in this regard, which is 10th Man, which is really sad. So first of all, big shout out to you. Hopefully you are listening in on the show. He's been tarnished with the unfortunate ill health of a family member, so that's why he's not been with us, if people are wondering why 10th Man's not around. So please clasp your hands together and say a prayer for 10th Man and his family. As I say, he's dealing with dire ill health at the moment. So yeah, our prayers go out to you if you are listening, 10th Man. But with that in mind, I'll ask the question. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Morning, guys.
Well, it's an impossibility. I mean, it's an absolute absurd question because the actual definition of elevation angles does require a horizontal flat plane. So to even ask the question, can you do it from a curved Earth, is absolutely insane.
Julio, as we are still in 2023...
Can I just add?
Go ahead. So you're saying hello to chocolate?
Just on the end of that. Yeah, hello, chocolate. I was one of the things I was going to do. Yeah, just that for people out there listening, don't argue about whether angles are possible. It's an elevation angle. That's the main. I'm not critiquing anyone here. I'm just saying a lot of flat earthers they do start arguing about angles because the globers want to make it into an angle, which is just two straight lines meeting at a vertex. No, an elevation angle or angle of elevation is very specific. The horizontal adjacent must end up directly underneath the object. and there's a straight line brought up from that horizontal to the object, then that's the opposite, and then the hypotenuse is between the object and the other end of the horizontal. It's a right angle triangle. Every elevation angle is a right angle triangle. That is what an angle of elevation is. It's defined that way. You can look it up. So don't argue about angles, argue about elevation angles. That places a right angle triangle at the GP of a celestial body.
GP is ground position or geographical position. That is position described by Brian moments earlier as the position below whatever you're measuring. So in the case of a star, there is a position on the ground below that star that you're measuring with an angle, an elevation angle. And that angle has a line between you and that position on the ground, a ground position. And the line between you and that ground position must be straight, level, flat, along the ground for it to meet at 90 degrees to the position below where you're measuring that star. Again, Brian's on fire today, beautifully and eloquently put, reiterated here by me. To have that be possible with an elevation angle specifically, you must have a flat Earth between you and the thing you're measuring. That is a prerequisite. Earth must be measured flat for this to succeed. Correct, Brian. Kudos. We're all on fire today. I'm loving it. I said it earlier. My panel's nice. Go on one deck.
And that distance, Nathan, between the observer and the GP, we're using the mean sea level. That is a horizontal baseline, which could be extended out to thousands and thousands of miles of that elevation angle, proving without a doubt that the Earth is measured flat.
You have your poem, "The Earth is Flat, It's Measured Like That," to hand.
Can you guys hear me? Good morning, guys.
We do.
Morning, Chocolate.
We do.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think I just read it. I think
that wasn't the one you just read, was it?
I read it before that.
Was that the first one? Is that the first poem? "The Earth is Flat, It's Measured Like That."
That was the very, very, very first poem. The globe is flat. It's measured like that.
Ah, it's because I'm remembering it slightly differently because it's obviously an older one.
Yeah, that was the very first one I wrote and read out on the show.
The globe is flat.
I don't know how long ago now.
Yeah. Yeah, now that would be criticised for that, wouldn't it? So your first words of the globe
is it's flat. But that's what I was saying before. We've come pardon the pun, we've come full circle. The globe is flat. It is measured like that.
It is.
And that's what we're going to be really, really exaggerating and putting forth to these globe believers in 2024.
Maybe we shouldn't call them globe believers moving forward. Just call them measurement deniers.
No, you get yelled at chat. You know, they want the community to play nice, and you say anything derogatory, they get upset.
Is that a Motorola microphone I detect?
Sounded like it, yeah.
It sounded very specifically like a Motorola microphone. Am I wrong?
From who?
For you?
Was it me?
Me?
Oh, forget it, Neil. You're not playing along. Right. Throughout 2023, right, we've been loggerheads with the counterpart flat earth nonsense that is ether. And I don't know if I'm going to get shouted down by QE in this regard. I'm sick of it. I don't want to cover it anymore because I think it's pointless nonsense. And in terms of the better quality, as we call it, information, it will prevail so long as we're banging the drum loud enough. In other words, we don't necessarily have to go and cut the skins on their drums. We can just drown them out. And going over the sounds of their drums and the inability to keep their drums in rhythm just draws attention to their drums. Does it not?
I second the motion. Everybody else say aye. Who agrees?
I've been, hold on a second, agreed. I've been screaming it for years.
Say aye.
You, Nathan, you've been wanting to make friends with Jaron and let's teach him because it'll be our advantage. Advantage what? They want to stay in the mud, leave them in the mud, let them all stay dirty together. We're clean.
Yet he who is
Well-
without sin.
Well, since their main point of contention, it seems, is that we tie them directly to the arguments that they're making. Maybe we just don't mention their names when we destroy the points.
Wait a minute. I don't get it. Is Ether back?
It's back, baby.
Ether's
It's science
Back
and it's
and
back.
better than ever.
Oh,
And I was told in the
Well,
chat
Ether
that
is back,
I'm just
baby.
not a believer.
And what is that again?
Ether.
They still don't have an actual phenomenon yet, chocolate. There isn't already something else.
Well,
I checked. They don't.
I can answer you.
Nathan has the definition of ether. He
Where's
wrote it
that
down.
definition?
yesterday.
Here's where the
It's-
problem is. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. I don't mind, but when they say it's in the Bible, and Dave is not wrong for saying that the stars are sentient, he's not wrong. It's in the Bible, and I'm not a believer. So now they're going to link it and tie it to the Bible and say that ether is God, which we've heard before.
The stars are sentient now? What did I miss in the like 2 days? What's going on?
Yeah, the guy was attacking me in chat yesterday because we were getting on him for that.
Okay, well, without protestation and without any further procrastination, and at no risk of demonetization, the ether sensation is the manifestation of the vibration when viewing libration, and a perturbation in the variation of a background radiation when we view illumination. There is no postulation in my verbal masturbation because perception of the visualization of light emanation in a rotation toroidation of magnetation through vacuum evacuation shows their maxwellization propagation with a motion demonstration phase quantization via quantum induction validation, where we view the Michelson-Morley experimentation showing consistent variation in the direction when illumination went on vacation at elevation in atmospheric stratification by interpretation. And that is a miniaturization of the ether explanation. If you lack comprehension, it's because of your education. Did I mention the free power generation? Long live the ether. This is a declaration and not a THEORIA hypothesisation. Subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980.
Wow, how the heck did you just do that?
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Somebody needs to put that on a beat. You need to.
Nathan, that
Yeah,
video made me crack
feel
up
that.
this morning. You put a video with Kent Wheeler on it, right?
It was that, but just read by a robot. I can't. Now, I'm set up, right? I have to unfold this room and kick the kids out for it to be a studio. So it's a lounge, then it's a studio. But obviously, if I'm going to record something like that, I want to be able to record it in reasonable quality. And literally, the easiest way to do that is to just do it while I'm live, because everything's all rigged up and sounds good, right?
Yeah, that was perfect. That's what you got to trim out. The hell with that robot.
Yeah, but the robot's useful. Hearing me have it read out to me by a robot makes it easier to read back, because I'm just reading it off my iPad, aren't I? Obviously, I haven't memorised that. Although if I said it enough, I probably could, as I discussed in the pre-show. We were discussing the con artistry that is Witsit Shitsit 20 when it comes to him being a fast talker and regurgitating stuff that sounds pretty much like what I just rattled off, so that he can con people. That's all it is, a big con with fast, complicated words. So that's ether. To answer your question, Chocolate?
Yeah. Actually, someone could take a clip spawn. Thanks for clearing that up.
My pleasure.
That really cleared it up, as QE would say.
Coolio. So, any Christmas greetings we want to leave the audience with? Because we'll be seeing them in the period between Christmas and New Year next when we're live.
Happy Christmas to everyone. And a Happy New Year if we don't get to see each other.
Yep. Shout out to everybody, the whole community. Special shout out. I heard you mention him before I came in. But special shout out to 10th. Miss you, brother.
Yeah, indeed. Our
Hope you
prayers
come
really
back.
are with you, 10th, if you're listening.
Yeah, we're all thinking about you, Tim.
Absolutely.
Love you, bro.
We've been praying for you, 10th.
Anything else? Any other Christmas greetings? Got to be some other nice sentiment that we can leave people with.
I want to know why you guys say Happy Christmas instead of Merry Christmas.
We do say Merry Christmas as well. Happy Christmas. It depends on what it is you're trying to convey to somebody. Do you want them to be merry? Not necessarily.
But isn't it supposed to be Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year?
It depends. I don't.
I always
All right,
find I'm
Happy
much more
Christmas
merry
and a
at New
Merry
Year
New
than
Year.
Christmas.
Exactly. New Year's the merry time. Exactly, Adam.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I just joined.
really, yeah.
I have an opinion. I think personally that the Earth is a sphere globe based on all the information that I've been given.
Okay. Well, wouldn't you have to do that the moment I've got my camera all lit up and I'm about to do a round out to a live show? Isn't that just sod's law? No worries. Well, what is the evidence you base your fundamentalist belief that sphere Earth is true on?
Well, I mean, for two things, real quick off the top of my head, it's what all the most intelligent people in my life, including those that I can't access, like let's say scientists and things. That's what they say, and also I see things going over the horizon.
Is this a joke?
It's not April Fool's Day, is it? It is
Is this a joke?
Christmas week, not April Fool's Day, isn't it?
Stop. Okay. When you say things go over the horizon's not an actual place for things to go over. That is to say, it's not a hill. But you're under the misapprehension that the horizon is a physical hill for things to go over. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Would you like me to explain how that is not the case?
Well, I'm just saying. So you're saying that my eyes are deceiving me from what I see every day?
No, I'm saying that what you perceive to be a physical geometric limitation to your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet in the case of Earth curve physical obstructions is not a physical limitation, aka hill, blocking your view if we can demonstrate that the physicality of said hill blocking things, as you put it, is beyond the geometric physical hill-like limitation that would be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as laid down in your begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve mathematics.
So the ground is not physical.
No, the horizon is not physical. The horizon is not Earth curve.
The horizon is not the ground.
It's not Earth curve. Not a hill.
The horizon is not the Earth.
It's not. Try that one more time. The horizon is not a hill called Earth curve.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the horizon is not the Earth.
No, that's not what I said.
I'm sorry.
The horizon represents a limitation to your view, an apparent position where the sky meets the ground or sea. But it's apparent.
Yeah, the ground.
That's not actual, not physical, not a hill blocking your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, which is the mathematics that gives you that assertion. We've debunked it.
Yeah, the
I'm sorry,
ground, surface level, sea level, the ground. Yes. Keep saying
the ground, right?
Surface level.
Surface level.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't think the horizon
Hold on.
has-
Let's see if he's recognised what had put to him by John. So there's quite a lot of people keen to talk to you, my friend. What's your name, by the way?
I mean,
June.
I'm June.
Pleased to meet you, June. So, are
Nice to
you
meet you as well, guys.
describing when you say the horizon in terms of its physical limitation? Are you describing the surface level when you ask us, is it not Earth? Are you referring to, is it not surface level? Is that what you're asking? I think is what John's trying to ask you.
I mean, I keep hearing like you guys say ground and surface, and to me these are all like physical aspects of the Earth. So I mean, I don't know what I'm missing.
The level bit.
Okay, you go ahead, John.
You're missing the level bit, surface level.
I mean, I guess sure you could call it whatever you want, but I mean, like
Yeah,
I said,
that
I
is what
see
it's called.
things go over.
That is what it's called. You
I
say
don't
we
see
can,
things.
We can. You're saying we can call it surface level? No, that's what it's referred to as. That's what it is. Surface level.
Okay, but I suppose is isn't it relative to what the truth of it is? So let's say in actuality it was curved like the ball, like they say, then level would be in accordance to that shape.
No, level is level.
Maybe.
Can I say something to this, man?
So,
Right, no, level
So
is
maybe
not in accordance with the shape. Level is level. No, we don't redefine what level is because you need it to comport with being surface level in this instance, and surface level needs to be not level because you think you're on a ball. No, surface level is just level. It doesn't comport to a sphere because that's not level anymore. Level, having no height higher or lower than the other. A ball has things higher or lower than the other. That makes it not level. So no, level doesn't suddenly get redefined because it doesn't comport with your sphere belief. Let's not redefine what level means. Level means level, having no part higher or lower than the other. Level. No, not ball-like in any way, shape or form. We're not going to redefine that word because it doesn't comport with your fundamentalist ball religious belief. Earth's not a sphere, and when we deal with Earth, we deal with the surface level. So it's measured, navigated, built on level, not sphere-shaped.
right.
We don't have to believe
Right.
the truth that you believe to make surface level not level anymore, which is what you've asked us to do. No, we won't do that.
But okay, so it's like it's so big that once you are reduced to such a small size compared to it, it achieves a levelness.
So what you're saying is,
so what
you're saying is we're going to measure it flat and level, correct?
Well, we do.
So we do measure Earth flat and level. Welcome to flat Earth. That's correct. We do measure Earth level and flat. That's correct. Because it is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. You
relative.
don't have to interrupt me to agree that we're measuring Earth flat. We know. You told me it was a sphere. And I asked you how you think it's a sphere, and you're telling us all about how we measure it flat. And obviously that's because that's how it is. Yeah, we know that. We're flat earthers. You assert
It's
that it's a
relative.
sphere. You don't have to keep interrupting me. We asked you to offer your evidence of sphericity, and you're telling me how flat it's going to be measured. Do you want to try again with something that offers up a proof of globe rather than how flat it's going to be measured? Because we already know it's measured flat. That's how Earth's dealt with. Flat. The surface level is level. That's right. Meanwhile, you don't have a hill blocking your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's hind feet. We debunked it with something called a black swan, showing that hill that should be in the way of oil rigs, according to the globe Earth mathematics, is 10 miles beyond the thing it's supposed to be blocking. Now, hills don't tend to get up and put themselves behind the things they're in front of. Horizons, on the other hand, can do that because they're non-physical, not a hill, not Earth curve as you claimed. I hope you understand that we've concisely taken apart your physical hill getting in the way of stuff. According to you, it isn't. The horizon is not Earth curve, it is not physical. Hope that's clear. Do you have anything else to provide us with for globe proof that isn't going to get to the how flat you're measuring it bit like you just did? Anything else?
Well, I mean, like I said, the relative the horizon. But I mean, aside from that, also I mentioned the entire infrastructure of scientific knowledge.
Sorry,
That
the
has nothing to
entire
do with it.
infrastructure of the scientific knowledge. Sorry, what the hell does that mean?
Like-
That doesn't mean anything. Is that a claim of globe sphericity based on the understanding and scientific knowledge? What scientific knowledge specifically gives us a globe? Do you want to tell us?
Well, for example, if I were to call the experts like NASA, for example, they're going to tell me, right, they're going to tell me that it's a ball. They're going to tell me that it's a sphere
Not so.
in space.
That's incorrect.
They're not going to tell me that.
That's right. If you go to the NASA documents that actually deal with how Earth is negotiated, navigated, and flown upon, they specifically reference it as a flat, non-inertial, non-spinning, non-moving plane. That's how NASA describe it. You are alluding to some documents. I would assume, like, I can specifically reference NASA documents that say Earth is flat and will be dealt with as such, non-moving and flat. You could also do the same to allude to its ball-like nature in documentation that's actually in reference to how Earth functions, like flying on it, because NASA specifically referenced Earth to be flat and dealt with as such when dealing with its practical application through flying. That's NASA, as you claimed. What documents are you referring to exactly?
Well, I've been on an airplane and I've seen the
Right,
curve.
what documents from NASA were you referring to?
Well, no, I said if I call them and ask them.
Oh, if you call them. So appeal to the future fallacy.
Well, I mean, you know.
Do you
let's say I
understand what an
watch it
appeal
on
to the
TV.
future fallacy is before you start wittering past my objection? That's an appeal to the future
Right,
fallacy.
no, I understand. But
Right, so can you stop talking then? Now you've used the fallacy, I'd prefer you just stop. No, I am not appealing to the future. Excuse me. You used the fallacy. I pointed out. You can say thank you if you like. Do you want to thank me?
Hello?
Yeah, do you want to thank me? I pointed out your fallacy. Instead of thanking me, you're wittering through me as I point out that without appealing to the future, that would be a fallacy, which you did. You haven't thanked me for pointing that out. You just keep wittering through me. Nevertheless, I'm pointing out that there are in existence documents that I can go to with NASA headings that point out Earth is functionally flat. Do you understand?
I think that's impossible.
Well, would you like me to provide you with those documents with NASA headings that say that when you're flying over a stationary, non-rotating plane, that's not referring to a ball, it's referring to a non-rotating stationary plane. That's a flat Earth with NASA headings on it that I'm not appealing to whether or not I could get them. They exist and are very well documented after disclosure from NASA. So they're NASA documents that say Earth's measured flat and dealt with flat. You alluded to an appeal to the future fallacy, that you could go to them and they'd say it was a ball. No, they're documented as telling people to deal with it flat. You haven't acknowledged that. I'll thank me for your fallacy use. That's appeal to the future fallacy. How well do you think you're doing, Globe Believer?
Well, I think, first of all, that, you can pick and choose all the rhetorical words that you think apply to your religious belief of flat Earth. It doesn't mean it's really flat.
So how is NASA describing it as being functionally utilized as flat? How is that a religious belief? Answer, it isn't. I've pointed out by your own standard that NASA say it's flat. Your response is to tell me that's a religious belief. That's not a rebuttal. That's a non sequitur fallacy. It doesn't in any way address the fact that NASA, according to you, your cited source that you can appeal to the future with, have documentation fact that say Earth will be dealt with as flat, as a plane, non-rotating. That's how NASA describe it. That's not my religious belief. How dare you? That is your own cited source of NASA saying it's dealt with flat.
You said I have a religious belief. You called me.
Yes, you are a fundamentalist religious globe-believing zealot. To this point, you have not provided a single shred of globe evidence. You've told me how flat you measure it. And I'm pointing out that your cited source with an appeal to the future fallacy says it's flat also. That's where we're at. You're a fundy with a religious belief in a globe, and you can't stop talking through me while I point out your religious belief in a globe that is based on fallacy. Appeal to the future from NASA. That's what you've got so far.
Right.
And measurements of flatness and how big, therefore globe-shaped, it is when you measure it flat. So you're telling me with your fundy belief in a globe that it's so big and flat that we'll measure it flat. That's not a globe proof.
Right.
Neither is NASA.
Yeah, so it's like, I said it's relative, right? There's that key word. And so relatively, it's so big that we have our
Yes,
own
I heard the first time.
Personal.
Yes, I heard the first time.
Yeah.
So basically, your globe proof is that the Earth is so big that it's observably and measurably flat. That's your proof.
Yes, it is.
It's being
Thank you for reiterating it for the third time. I reiterated after he pointed it out. So that is now the third rendition of yes, so biggy, it's flatty, and we'll measure it flat to prove it's so biggy, it's flatty. It's useless. It's not a globe proof. You're not measuring it globe shaped. You're measuring it flat. I've already pointed this out. It's the fourth time. Then he's gone to NASA to segue away from how flat it must be for his claim that it's globe shaped. Now we're on NASA. He hasn't acknowledged any of it, and now I'm getting interrupted by my own panel who have reiterated things I've already reiterated to him with constant interruptions, presumably from the triggered fundy globe believer who cannot shut up now. His arguments have been concisely taken to pieces with constant interruption from him because he cannot shut up or acknowledge any of the absolutely devastating points I've put to him in rebuttal. None of them have been acknowledged. They don't need reiterating for the fourth time by my panel. They need acknowledgement from June, who just feels that when I'm talking and reiterating the lack of acknowledgement of the devastation of his arguments, that he needs to talk in the middle of that. No, June, you just need to acknowledge. NASA say it's flat and functionally flat. That isn't an appeal to the future fallacy, it's a fact. And so biggy it's flatty is it's measured flat. So far, not so good, you fundy religious tard with a globe belief. Yes, you are religious. Yes, you have a globe belief. No, you are not proving it. I am taking apart your claims.
Do you need to?
I mean, I can't really talk. I don't know how I'm the one who's interrupting. I can't even say anything. Hello?
Hello, that
You
was
may
10
speak.
solid seconds of non-interruption where you could have responded to the fact that NASA, it's your turn to
No,
talk
I'm
after
trying to
10
be-
straight seconds of silence. It's your turn to talk
I'm
through
trying to
me.
be polite. I
After
didn't know
leaving a
if it was my
prolonged
turn.
silence, it's obviously your turn to talk. The 10 seconds after your protestations that you weren't getting an opportunity to talk and interrupted was met with a 10-second silence, but now you feel it's your turn to talk again. No, you absolutely are interrupting me when I ask you to affirm that NASA are indeed documented as saying Earth will be dealt with as flat, contrary to your appeal to the future fallacy, and further to your explanation that Earth is being measured flat because it's so bloody big it's flat. So, can you acknowledge some of those points without interrupting me before the conclusion and then claiming that you're not getting a chance to speak? You will now get an opportunity to respond and acknowledge those things that have taken apart your fundamentalist religious belief and believings. You may speak.
Okay, so thank you. I don't know if it's a flat Earth thing or maybe if it's you guys personally, but that's a weird way to have a conversation. It's a little bit aggressive and confrontational. It's also
Meanwhile, Earth's measured flat. I'm not going to allow this dickhead to go through his ad hominem fallacy about how I'm treating him. Earth is measured flat by his own example, and NASA demonstrate that Earth is going to be treated as flat when you fly across it. That's documented by NASA. So me and how I behave on my own bloody show isn't going to be discussed as an ad hominem fallacy. That's another fallacy this guy's used because he can't accept losing. Nay, accept that the acknowledgement of the rebuttal that he has had on several occasions will ever come. We'll just get more ad hominem fallacies about how I've treated him and how it's a weird conversation. What, to take apart somebody's claim that NASA, with an appeal to the future fallacy, will say it's globe-shaped when they are documented as saying it's to be treated as flat and non-rotating and stationary. That is what they are documented as saying. You haven't acknowledged it, but what? It's a weird way to talk. No, it's a weird way to take apart a fundamentalist religious zealot globe believer at the root core of his claim, with constant interruption from said fundamentalist religious globe believer, who's going to then claim I'm interrupting him and isn't given an opportunity to talk when he's invited to acknowledge the rebuttals he has received. Go ahead, acknowledge them.
you get a lot. Wow. Okay, so what about you see the sun?
So we're on to a new claim. He has not acknowledged what I have said. Now we're getting panel interruptions from G+. I would like an acknowledgement of the rebuttals you have received, you fundamentalist religious zealot. I don't want to move on until you've acknowledged what I've said already, so you don't rinse and repeat it again later. We're not moving on to the sun. You are rude. Very weird way to talk to me. When I acknowledge something you've said, confirm what you've said back to you so we're all clear about what you've claimed. Then I take it apart and you tell me that I'm rude. It seems rude that you would move on to a new subject without any acknowledgement of the rebuttal I've provided you, globe believer. Very rude. Please acknowledge what I've responded to your claims with. That would be NASA saying it's flat, and Earth so biggie measured flat is just Earth measured flat. Can you acknowledge those things, please, you globe believer? Thank you.
Okay, so I'll acknowledge them as accurately as quickly as possible. So you said NASA. So NASA says one thing, and I think you're going opposite to
No, NASA don't say one thing. Do you want to acknowledge what I've actually said? NASA say that Earth will be dealt with as a non-spinning stationary plane. That's what NASA say.
As they go into space with rockets to other.
Sorry, no, I didn't mention rockets. I mentioned them describing it as a non-inertial, non-rotating stationary plane. That's what they're documented as saying it will be dealt with as. You haven't provided any documents for anything. I'm asking you to acknowledge what I have suggested, because I haven't provided you anything yet. You can challenge me, but that's what I'm asking you to acknowledge. Nothing to do with space so far.
Relativity.
You've said that 5 times. It means nothing. It's just one of those jargon words you're throwing in to sound smart. No, an acknowledgement is what I'm looking for. If you can't tolerate a rebuttal and acknowledge the rebuttal, then we can't talk to you anymore because you're unreasonable. Do you understand that?
Okay, well, I need an opportunity to get a word in, but you're saying that it's stationary and level. Yes, relatively.
Right, do you want to show me the NASA document where it says relatively in the documented stationary non-rotating plane that NASA's documenting? Can you show me where it says relatively speaking? Do you want to show me that?
No, I cannot bring up.
So do you want to stop lying to us and acknowledge that NASA say it will be dealt with as non-rotating, stationary, and a plane? Because that's what they do say. Not relatively.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
You're just
say
making that up.
So that doesn't
Excuse me,
mean-
can you
that
stop
doesn't-
interrupting me while I object to your lies? Stop making stuff up. It's just lies at this point. You don't have anything to back that. That's not true. What I've acknowledged or asked you to acknowledge is absolutely factually accurate about NASA describing Earth as a plane, flat in nature, non-rotating and stationary. Those are facts that you refuse to acknowledge and instead choose to make stuff up. Don't do that. It's very unreasonable. That's what globe believers do. Can you just acknowledge that NASA do say, because it's your source and you brought them up, documented how it will be dealt with, flown across, flat, non-rotating, stationary. That's all I need you to acknowledge. Or challenge me, say, no, they don't.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sure that they do. But does that mean that they're flat earthers, or are they still sure that it's a ball?
I don't care what they are. They document Earth as being dealt with as flat. Why appeal to their feelings about the matter when they're documenting it is to be dealt with as flat, non-rotating and stationary? Does it matter how they felt? Does it matter what ink colour they used when they wrote it down and typed it out? No. It only matters that Earth is to be dealt with as a flat, non-rotating, stationary plane. That's all that matters.
Yeah, dealt with. It doesn't mean that that's the fact.
Oh, so it's actually the fact that it's a bloody globe and we shouldn't deal with it as a globe because it's actually to be dealt with as flat. Now, that would make no sense. Do you want to provide some documentation that says even though it's going to be dealt with flat and non-rotating stationary, it's because it isn't? Do you want to show me something that says that?
I could show you the rover on Mars.
Oh, could you? How would you show? No, I'll take that as a claim. I have attempted to see the moon buggy that NASA claim is up on the moon via telescopes, and it's not possible from Earth. So either you're lying. Oh, are you going to interrupt me? Is this me not getting my time to speak? Is this me not being a reasonable person to talk with while you interrupt? Yeah, it is. It's me being unreasonable, isn't it, my friend? Maybe not project your constant interruptions onto me and just shut up and listen to the explanation. That you can't see the moon buggy on the moon according to their rhetoric with the distances they claim through Huygens and Kepler, but yet you think you have seen a buggy on Mars. Go ahead, tell us all about it, and I'll, off the cuff, call you a liar, because you've seen no such thing. Liar.
Well, I mean, my friend has a telescope.
So liar, then. You haven't. Starting off by what your friend's done isn't you seeing it on Mars, is it?
No,
liar.
The moon.
Telescope, Nathan.
Right, you can't see I've just pointed this out. Pay attention, Arwin. I've gone to Goon Hilly Observatory and asked them, based on what my friend told me, that you can see the buggy on the moon, and they made it clear that you wouldn't see it if you turned Hubble towards it. Yes, this guy's telling me he can see something on Mars. No, he's a liar. He's just making it up.
No, the moon, not Mars.
Right, you can see the moon buggy on the moon. Why did you say Mars? Okay, let's just scratch that. No worries. I've just explained already that you couldn't see the moon buggy if you turned Hubble towards it.
That sounds impossible.
Well, that's according to Goon Hilly, based on the angular size and the dimensions given to you by Kepler and Huygens in a heliocentric orbital motion. Now, have you calculated out those values based on the arc seconds value of the moon buggy? Because I have. You're a liar. You haven't seen the moon buggy on the moon. You're just a liar.
I've seen it. Well, I've seen the flashback, right?
Oh, so you haven't seen it. So now you're going to mitigate for your lie you just told, liar. Why are all globe believers perfectly content to lie about what they've seen? You're an outright liar.
Okay, call me a liar.
Right, why are you chuckling? You have not seen the moon buggy on the moon. You're a liar. That's why I'm saying it. Because you're a liar?
Well, okay. I've seen the flashback, right?
Sorry, by that you mean the videography?
No. Apparently they have mirrors there, so the light reflects back, and you can see like a shine. That's what I've seen.
And this proves Earth's a sphere because
it's a spherical ball.
What is Earth?
That's not what he said a minute ago.
Right.
No, the moon, all the.
Bear with me. What is this proving in terms of Earth's sphericity? I beg of you, tell us how this proves Earth's a ball.
It's the natural state of all massive bodies, clearly.
No, not clearly.
Well, I mean, even like a water drop is a circle.
And a
ball,
mountain range is a circle, and the ground I'm
No,
standing
it's
is
not.
on a circle. No. It's not the natural state of
No,
everything. That's
it's
utterly
part of a
absurd.
circle.
No, it isn't.
It's not. Okay. Well,
But is that
I
your
mean, it's
proof?
part of.
So your proof is the natural state of everything as demonstrated by a water droplet is spherical, therefore Earth's spherical because a water drop's spherical. Is that your
Or
standard?
stars, or planets, or stars, or planets.
Lights in the sky. What about them? How do they prove Earth's spherical?
Well, they're spheres as well, right? So why would we be different?
Number one, they are not spherical by your observation. You do not have binocular vision to the stars. They are two-dimensional in nature. You cannot ascertain their three-dimensional sphericity, as you just claimed. You are wrong. Meanwhile, while he interrupts because he's triggered, because he's wrong. No, you don't have binocular vision. Just accept it. There is a further point to your nonsense that I'm going to address. When you say they're spheres, they're not. You don't have that view to them. You cannot make that claim. I won't try and ask you to confirm it because you're just going to walk straight past it or interrupt it like you just did. Is this some weird way that you communicate with people when they point out you're wrong? You just interrupt them? Try to refrain from your triggered globe-believing nature by interrupting me incessantly, which you are still doing. Try to avoid that. When I point out, no, you don't ascertain the lights in the sky as being spherical with two-dimensional non-binocular vision to them. Do you understand those big words that debunk what you just said? I hope so.
I have beyond perfect vision. You know, it's almost like an oddity. My eyesight is very good. So I guess when you pair that with a really powerful telescope, you know, maybe it's just beyond what you can perceive. For example,
The guy's stupid. Telescope? Not ascertaining three-dimensionality non-binocular telescopes?
well, you can see one side of the.
And that's three-dimensionality established there with that two-dimensional view through a telescope, is it, you stupid numpty that isn't acknowledging a word that I've said?
Well, yeah, I can see like.
No, you can't. Three-dimensionality won't be given to you through a telescope, you utter buffoon. Why do we have to deal with people off the street that think they're smart because they're looking at something with a telescope and claiming they've got three-dimensionality with it? We're just dealing with people who are very, very stupid. In this case, you. No, you don't. You're stupid. No.
You're calling me stupid.
Yes, because telescopes don't give you binocular vision. It's the fourth time I've told you. Do you think you're smart when you're not acknowledging what I've told you 4 times? No, demonstrably you are the stupid one here. Otherwise, you'd acknowledge one of the points I made rather than asking why you're being called stupid when you clearly don't understand the implications of binocular vision to the stars, do you? You keep ranting on about what telescopes do and interrupting me. Yes, telescopes don't give you a three-dimensionality aspect that would give you the three-dimensionality sphere claim that you have made. That's 5 times. Making you stupid, yes, that's correct. Yeah. I am correct calling you stupid. You are.
So your flat Earth proof is that
I haven't offered you any flat Earth proof. Don't summarise something I haven't even been asked for. How dare you? Why are you summarising something you haven't even asked me for yet? I've asked you for globe proof and you've failed miserably. You've offered us how big it is, therefore I'm going to measure it flat. That's what you've actually offered us. Your Keplerian orbital motions that you're now appealing to are systematically being taken apart while you offer them. No. You're not going to straw man with some claim I haven't made about how Earth is proven flat. You may ask if you wish, and I'll damn well tell you, with some of your own claims that you made, like with NASA. Notice how NASA suddenly turned into a flat Earth proof. Notice you're not reiterating how NASA say it's flat and will be dealt with flat when you go ahead and straw man with me something I haven't claimed proves Earth's flat. No, NASA, your claim, your citation, your source say it's flat. I haven't given you anything yet. You may ask, though, if you wish, rather than straw manning me.
Sir, science doesn't care about your opinions and your emotional feelings.
Oh, really? Define science.
Science is what can be proven through experimentation.
So why are you telling me about what it feels? Science doesn't care?
Well, because you're reacting emotionally.
No, that's a reification fallacy where you ascribe, it's also anthropomorphization, when you ascribe human qualities to something that's a method. You're telling me how much science cares about something
it's not
after...
a human quality.
Excuse me, Triggered Fundy, can you stop interrupting? I know basically everything you said is... Excuse me, Fundy. I heard you. Would you like me to ascertain that I did actually hear you when you were uninterrupted making your claims, so that we know your uninterrupted claims were heard, because I heard them? But what you're now doing is projecting, because you told me that it was a weird way to have a conversation when you incessantly interrupt me. That's what you're doing. Becoming intolerable as a guest, actually. You know, you're a fundamentalist religious zealot with a globe belief who only has flat earth proof to offer, and straw men claims that I haven't given you, and non-acknowledgement of NASA's declarations of Earth being flat, non-moving, stationary. You're not acknowledging any of these things. You're just becoming intolerable with your constant interruptions, like most people who come here with a globe belief. Earth's measured flat, my friend. Yeah, that was a pause for breath. I know you're very keen for your turn to talk so that we can take the next garbage statement you make to pieces. I know. Earth is measured flat. There it is again. I'll try for the third time to say something so devastatingly upsetting to you that you need to interrupt it for a fourth time. There's the fifth interruption. I'll try and say it unimpeded, like you did a moment ago. I'll try. I probably won't get the chance because I've got a fundamentalist religious globe-believing zealot on the panel who feels the need to continually interrupt and then project that outrageous, unreasonable behaviour
20 minutes
straight onto me while he interrupts as I point out that he's interrupting with beautiful and eloquent timing. Meanwhile, as he interrupts, trying to take us further and further away from the fact that Earth is measured flat,
You've been speaking for 20 minutes without interruption.
Will they? Earth's measured flat, functionally, as described by NASA, as being flat. Because it is. All of the maps and the models that globe Earth were used to develop came from flat Earth elevation angle measurements to those stars that you want to appeal to with their non-three-dimensionality and non-binocular vision to them. Those stars, those lights in the sky, the ones you lied about seeing moon buggies on, they are used for navigation on a flat Earth with all the flat maps, as they must be. Now, I appreciate that my audience can't hear this gentleman continually interrupting me while I demonstrate and lay down the flat Earth proof that he was going to straw man with me. I haven't claimed yet. But all of the functionality of Earth is flat. That's the reality of the situation here. We deal with Earth as a flat plane, and so do NASA. In fact, so does everybody. We build on it flat, we navigate it flat, and all of the navigational tools at our disposal have been developed from a flat Earth.
Just in case you would like, that document is in Masterpiece, a screenshot of it. Just in case you need it.
It's the bit that's
Nathan, he said the
summary.
stars. He said the stars prove it's flat, spherical. Don't the stars prove it's flat? Don't we celestial navigate with the stars?
Yes, we do. I tried to explain that to him. While I was explaining that a moment ago, Neil, he was constantly interrupting, so the Discord server couldn't hear.
I was
and he didn't
constantly
have to listen to
interrupting.
it. A bit like he's doing now. I mean, I'll be accused of Nathan needing a mute button, but ultimately when Neil and I are having a conversation and the fundamentalist religious zealot known as June decides that he's going to interrupt that middle of a conversation between two different people that aren't him, it's obviously unreasonable that I shut down that line and stop him being able to do that. Totally unreasonable as a producer of a show that needs to be heard. Right, June?
You didn't stop talking.
It's my show. That's shocking to you. You make a claim about Earth having a proof of its sphericity from the three-dimensionality of the stars. I'm going to address it for the lack of binocular vision that you had 7 times. What is it that I'm talking too much when you don't acknowledge the absolute devastation your arguments face here? You can't acknowledge those things. You're a zealot. Can you?
Well, like I said, I do understand that as a flat earther, you don't mind being in an echo chamber and being...
Right, I'm not going to listen to your ad hominem attacks. This isn't an echo chamber. I listen to your claims. Based on your claims...
I haven't said anything.
You just told me it was an echo chamber. You're here
that's
defeating that
I
argument
managed
immediately.
to get out.
No, you're just ad homining us. That's all you're doing. You're using fallacy after fallacy. Based on what you said here, because it's not an echo chamber, and you were perfectly within your rights to come in and say, with an appeal to the future fallacy, that NASA say it's spherical. On screen for my audience now, it makes it clear. Flat, non-rotating Earth, _. This is in a NASA document. Okay? So it's not that we're in an echo chamber. And there's that interruption again. I'm addressing what you said. I listened. Echo chamber, you say. I'm addressing that.
Sir.
So shut up.
A breath.
You're making it unlistenable for my audience and then saying that I talk too much. I heard you. Echo chamber, you say. NASA, you say. So biggie, it's flatty, you say. I listened to you. It's not an echo chamber. That's unreasonable. Constant interruption that comes as I address the points you make is unreasonable.
I'm not interrupting. I can't even talk.
You are interrupting me right now. as I try and point out to the audience that this document on screen for them is only on screen as a result of a fundamentalist zealot globe believer coming in and telling us NASA say it's globe-shaped. No, as documented here. Flat, non-rotating Earth, say NASA. We clear? You haven't acknowledged it once.
No, I have. I said relativity, right?
Sorry, where does it say that in the document?
Well, no, that's just scientific.
Just what you're making up on the spot to get around the fact that you can't acknowledge NASA, your own source, say it's flat? Fundy.
No.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. Acknowledge that NASA, your own source, who you brought up, say, yeah, it's flat. Not with respect to anything else or relative to anything else. They say it's going to be dealt with flat. That's what they say. You're just making stuff up, my friend. It's very unreasonable. I've got it on screen for my audience right now.
Sir,
you just make stuff up and interrupt me while I point out that I'm actually citing what I say, unlike you who appeal to the future with a fallacy.
Okay, is it that you feel that you want to...
So why are you asking about my feelings when I've got a NASA document because you brought them up on screen? Why are you asking about my feelings?
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, like I said, I use my eyes and I see a certain way.
Yeah, you told us you saw spherical lights in the sky and you haven't addressed that either.
Well, okay, I tried to...
Yeah, stuttering now. Stop stuttering, shut up and acknowledge that you haven't got binocular vision to the stars, because you haven't. I've said that 7 times too, and you haven't acknowledged that either once. And you're now talking about my feelings and stuttering. Just acknowledge.
Okay,
no
sir,
binocular... No,
let me
not interruption constantly. Acknowledge. No binocular vision. Say it with me.
Right,
no binocular vision.
Acknowledge. Right, no, okay, so you see with the moon, you can see...
Sorry, why aren't you acknowledging it? You're not establishing sphericity of the stars you appeal to. I want you to acknowledge that, you unreasonable
like a
man.
shadow, right?
Unreasonable
Sir,
man.
you
Very
can see-
unreasonable. Like
Sir-
all globe believers. Just unreasonable. Won't acknowledge when he's wrong.
Right, I'm unreasonable. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have three-dimensionality to the stars when you look at them through a telescope because there's not binocular vision to them. Yeah, it's unreasonable to not acknowledge that. And move on to the moon.
Okay, well, you're talking about the stars. I use the moon
No,
and...
you claimed they prove sphericity. I'm not talking about them. You are claiming they prove sphericity. You just need to project your own claims back onto me, like all scumbags. Not very reasonable. I'm not claiming it. You are. You said the stars prove sphericity. When I asked you how, you told me that they look, by your own bloody eyes, spherical. And now you're interrupting me again while I reiterate the point for the 8th time, because you're unreasonable. You're going to tell me about my feelings again.
I said
ask
the
about
moon,
that.
not the stars.
It's just constant
Moon.
interruption now. I'm trying to get you to acknowledge the non-binocular vision that you have through a telescope. You're yet to do that in 9 attempts. Unreasonable.
Sir, I said the moon, not the stars. You're putting words in my mouth, and that's...
No, you said stars when I asked you to appeal to your proof of a spherical Earth. You specifically cited the stars. And now you need to lie about what you've said, even though it's going out live to an audience and we all know what you said. Liar.
Sir, I said moon, then stars. You can...
Oh, so stars then. So you are unequivocally a liar then. We know that. You're a globe believer.
No, you're picking in...
So you saw the moon buggy on the moon with your own eyes then? You saw that with your own eyes,
Right,
did you?
moon, exactly.
You saw the moon
that?
buggy with your own eyes. You're not a liar. You definitely saw the moon buggy. Is that stony silence because I'm proving you a liar? You are a liar. I can prove it. I just did. That's why you went very quiet. You saw the moon buggy with your own eyes, right? Liar. I've proven you are a liar. June. You're a liar because you're forced into being one by your own belief in a sphere. You've found yourself lying whether you wanted to or not. You lied about seeing the moon buggy. You are a liar, June. You don't have to like that, but I've proven it here as a flat earther.
Okay, sir,
I've also,
let me
whilst
pose this
suffering
to you.
constant interruptions from a fundy liar, I've also proven Earth's measured flat with his own examples. One of them's on screen now. You brought up NASA with an appeal to the future fallacy. So, scumbag liar, I will label you what you are, a liar and a religious believer in a globe. I also point out that I have, with constant interruption, attempted to prove our Earth is measured flat. It's just been met with constant interruption from an unreasonable man. You. You okay there?
Sir, a conversation...
Good.
A conversation takes two.
I'm not going to discuss the format of the conversation when I've got a NASA proof of flat Earth on screen. Not going to discuss our feelings about how we're being dealt with. Earth is proven to be measured flat by your own reference and citation in NASA. That's what we want to discuss.
Okay. So when you look at the moon, you can see that it's a 3D object because there's a slight shadow on the bottom left side every time.
And that proves Earth's sphere, does it?
Well,
Shadow.
everything follows. Everything follows everything follows.
So we heard this about the raindrop and everything being spherical. I referenced mountain ranges,
Right.
and you didn't acknowledge those mountain ranges not be the same as the
mountains
water.
are part of the Earth.
Yeah.
Part of the Earth.
Yeah. Not everything is spherical. So to say the moon's spherical, therefore Earth's spherical, isn't a comparison that I'm going to accept because it isn't true.
Well, technically, aren't you spherical? Right? Like
no, I'm man-shaped. Yeah, you are moron-shaped.
But
yeah, you're moron-shaped and a liar and a scumbag and a fundy religious zealot. That's what you are.
So Leonardo da Vinci was a liar too, or he was just wrong. I guess.
What did Leonardo da Vinci do to prove the Earth's sphere? Feel free to fill us in.
Well, I said, everything follows the spherical model, and the human body is spherical, right?
No. At a base level, absolutely not. My body is not spherical.
Really?
Well, you might not understand it, but
it's not that I don't understand. It's that I've got a set of eyeballs, and I am definitely not spherical. Okay, are we all going to agree, or maybe continue the debate about whether or not I am spherical? I'm not. Definitely not.
Sir, are you aware of the Vitruvian?
Am I aware that I'm not spherical? Because you've just claimed I am, and I'm not. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm not spherical. I mean, maybe at one time I was quite obese, and therefore I could describe myself as spherical, maybe. But I'd have arms and legs, presumably, if I'm a normal functioning human, and therefore categorically also not spherical. But you've claimed that I am. I'm not. Can we get to that acknowledgement
Your
first?
proportionality, sir.
No, proportionally I'm not spherical. This is nonsense. Meanwhile, while we get this absolutely god-awful attempt at a globe proof because men are spherical, Earth is measured flat. It's navigated flat. All of the maps and models that are used to assert that Earth has sphericity to it have come from elevation angle measurements to the lights in the sky and their two-dimensionality, non-binocular, to give us a flat plane of reference. Also, the horizon is utilised to establish Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. Earth is flat. That's how it functions. But we're going to discuss how we should debate about whether or not men are spherical. This is idiotic. Earth's flat.
Well, sir, I'm a neurological surgeon, and I have an operation that I have to head to. But we can definitely take up this conversation another time.
That would be a pleasure.
So I have to go, but I will be back.
That would be great. Wonderful. Thank you. Next time, could you bring some globe proof with you rather than constant affirmation of how Earth is measured,
I will definitely try.
Flat and constant interruptions? You'd think as a neural scientist, you'd understand better how to not interrupt when someone asks you to come next time without just flat Earth proofs, actual globe proofs. And I'd preferably not have you lie next time as well, like claiming you can see the moon buggy with your own eyes. Lies like that won't be tolerated in future. Do you understand?
Okay.
No, okay. Do you understand me telling you that those sorts of lies are not tolerated by us?
Representing.
So if you represent neurosurgeons by representation of you are liars. You're a liar. Don't do that next time you come here. That's not a request. It's me telling you.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't often get told by people, do you? This is me, a flat earther, the one who proved Earth was flat here today with the examples that you gave. I'm telling you, don't lie in future. Globe believer.
Sir, Santa Claus is not real.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Can you not say that too loudly? There might be kids that can earwig this conversation. I mean, they're also subject to your lies about seeing moon buggies and stuff too. Maybe your own kids get subject to those lies. I prefer my audience and my own kids don't get subject to your lies about seeing moon buggies and stuff.
Well, sir, we could go on. I suppose.
Sir, can you not lie about moon buggies in future? That's all I'm asking. It's a straight yes or no question. In future, can you not lie about seeing moon buggies? Please.
Your phone is not magic. It's science.
Sorry, I didn't ask about my phone. I said in future, can you not lie about seeing moon buggies, please?
Okay, well, I'll speak to you guys soon.
Sorry, you don't want to acknowledge that you will not lie, so you will be lying here when you come next time then?
Well, I will be, I'll try to be more prepared.
Try to not lie about seeing moon buggies with your own eyes. Can you try not to lie?
If I cite, real science.
Well, cite as in see the moon buggy with your eyes and your sight and your vision that you lied about.
Well, I would say that that's pretty good because, yeah,
I'd say that was an outright lie that I called you out on. And upon trying to leave, you're still not leaving and acknowledging that you lied. I know that people don't like being pointed out to be a liar. You'd rather interrupt constantly. You'd rather interrupt constantly than acknowledge your lies. I understand.
Cheers.
It's a pleasure. Other than the bit where you lied to me, June, I'd prefer that didn't happen next time. Is that possible?
I'll try. Okay, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, I'm
Cheers.
not amused. I don't like being lied to. Do you have students that you teach neural surgery to? Do they like being lied to? Do you laugh at them when you lie to them?
Well, you can say what you want. These are.
I can say you're a liar because you are. I proved it when you said you saw the moon buggy on the moon, making you a liar, June. June Armour, you are a liar. You lied about seeing the moon buggy with your own eyes, with your own vision.
Well, I mean, anyway, I have to go. I will speak to you guys.
Is
very
that how
soon.
neurosurgeons behave when confronted with a lie? Anyway. Oh, anyway, I just performed the surgery wrong, right?
Gone.
No? So you'll lie about moon buggies, but you won't lie about neural surgery. So could I ask that rather than treating us like second-rate citizens you can just lie to, that you treat us like your students in neural surgery and not lie to us? Can you do that?
He ran away.
Rather than acknowledge that he wouldn't lie to us next time he came? I see. Great neural surgeon.
I'm going in. Yeah.
Go ahead, One Deck.
Hey, Nathan Oakley, how are you?
I'm very
Yeah.
well, New Moon.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah. So I was having a question like there's a like Clover, and he was having some kind of claim. So I came here to like get your opinion about it. Like he's having a claim with his little silly diagram, and he's trying to like I have put that claim in the chat, in the main text chat, just a minute ago from my, and it's a 2 minute. So if you can pull that video, so like we can discuss it, like what kind of silly claims they are having nowadays.
Okay. Quick shout out to Elvis Kavovic.
Yeah,
Smash
I
the
just-
chat. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Elvis Kavovic says, June, what are you doing here in December? Thank you for the super chat. Don't
Hey,
really fully
Nathan.
understand.
Nathan, can you hear us on the G Plus panel?
Yes.
I was going to point out the brain surgery thing. Does he really think that coming in here and making such an absurd claim in any way helped his credibility? Like,
Yes, or he wouldn't have done it.
that's insane. I mean, it's obviously not true.
I mean, obviously, after declaring that humans are spherical,
That's what my wife just
I mean-
said. My wife just popped the red in the door and said, did our neurosurgeon say that men are spherical?
No, I believe like Nicktoon is spherical.
I mean, I am looking a bit spherical nowadays, to tell you the truth.
is
Even if
that
you-
some sort of fat shaming or something? Like, I don't understand, bro. Like,
What's really good is that he brought up. Sorry, Chocolate.
no, you good. Go ahead, man.
Sorry, man. What's really good is he brought up science continually and appealed to science, and not once did Nathan pull him on it. Just left him off and left him off and left him off, because you just know that when he throws himself out with everything else, he's going to try and fall back on that sometime later in the conversation, or the next day he comes in, and we'll absolutely annihilate him with his science. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to ask him a question about neurosurgery there.
Well,
Ask him
he's-
something and see if he could describe something.
Oh,
Because I
you
don't
love-
want to get small.
oh, Brian could smell the red herring. And you liked it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he did bring up a bit of a problem, though, because he said that science, when Nathan asked him to define it, he said science is something you can prove based on experiment. Well, his side has told us for a few years now, science doesn't prove things. So is he not up to date? Or what?
Well, that was after telling me that science didn't care about my feelings. What's science? Well, it's a method of establishing
Right.
cause and effect through experimentation that doesn't care about your feelings.
I'm sorry, I don't get it. Why didn't all of you just immediately jump on and say like, yeah, the globe Earth is not claimed to be bigger? That's like, that was to me an immediate sign. Like, this is an anti-flat earther. He doesn't know the globe claim. You can't just say it's bigger, and that's why you don't see the curve.
Yeah, you can.
I-
That's what that Josh guy said to me on Earth Horizons or whatever it was called, the podcast I went on. with Patrick. Remember?
He's an idiot.
Earth so biggie. That's why I got biggie. That's why I was saying Earth so biggie.
Yeah, but that's not
Yeah,
a globe claim, though. That's a nonsense made-up claim by anti-flat earthers that can't handle the black swan.
Yeah, it's an anti-flat Earth mitigation. Oh well, it's so big it's measured flat. Well, no, what going into 2024 are when we're going to say so measured flat then? Yeah.
Yeah, but in the next breath, he's
Right,
saying he can see the curve because the boat's going over it.
That was the first
After
breath,
that
but-
point, he's not arguing for the globe anymore. If he says it's too big, it's like, oh, so you claim something else then?
Anybody
Because
fancy?
that's not the globe claim.
Because we've run over on the live stream. Anybody fancy knocking me up a thumbnail? I'm so behind. I've got to round out this live stream at some point though. Any final comments on that? Rather, let's just say a thanks to, was it June? Really appreciate you coming in on the last show before Christmas. What a treat. Thank you. I'm really pleased. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I'm going to be looking out for this. That's for the shadow that's always the shadow that's always on the bottom left of the moon.
Well, I want to add something. I have more than perfect vision, and all waterfalls are spherical.
As are all mountain ranges, of course.
Better than perfect vision.
Everything's spherical, guys. Chairs.
There's nothing better than perfect vision.
Let's just remember the Earth can't be bigger. Earth can't be bigger. The stars aren't going to fit. The system's not going to fit if the Earth is bigger, remember? He didn't realize that. So he literally didn't know what he was talking about.
No, I mean, all these globe proofs were just asking Nathan how to explain this and how to explain that.
Relativity.
Yes, it's all down to the relativity of it. That's right. The globe proof is just down to that single word. Shout out to Duncan McLeod. He says, thumbnail should be a spherical man.
Hey, don't be knocking relativity. Do not be knocking relativity because he proved it. E equals MC squared. Einstein did marry his cousin twice.
Oh,
that is.
You mean the equivalence principle?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a satellite? No, it's spherical, man.
Well, that note, I'm going to say first and foremost, if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Primary streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Merry Christmas to you all. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!